Every time people start talking about this team, they keep acting like the offense is the problem. Meanwhile, anybody watching these games knows the real issue has been getting after the quarterback consistently. The weapons are there, the scheme is changing, and this offense is going to look a lot different this season. But if the Bears really want to take that next step, the defensive line has to show up in a big way. Smash that like button if you're riding with the Bears this season, and drop Bear down in the comments if you already know this team is built different heading into the year. ESPN just dropped a take about the Chicago Bears that is already creating a lot of debate around the fan base, because according to Aaron Schatz, the biggest roster hole on this team right now is at slot receiver. And honestly, when you really break down this roster, that argument just doesn't hold up. The idea behind the argument is that Chicago still spends a large percentage of offensive snaps in 11 personnel, meaning 3 wide receivers on the field, and because of that, the Bears supposedly need another proven slot option behind Rome Odunze and Luther Burden. Khalif Raymond was mentioned as the current answer, with concerns about his production and age, and then Deebo Samuel was floated as a possible free agent target for Chicago. But the more you look at how this offense is evolving under Ben Johnson, the more obvious it becomes that this offense is not going to operate the same way people expect based on traditional receiver labels. The first thing that stands out is how much the Bears are clearly leaning into heavier personnel groupings. This team already ranked near the top of the league in both 12 personnel and 13 personnel usage last season, and every move they've made since then points toward expanding that identity even further. Trading away DJ Moore was a massive signal. That move alone showed the organization is comfortable redistributing resources and building the offense differently, rather than simply stacking wide receivers. Then you look at the additions and the investments they've made. Sam Rush was taken early in the 3rd round, which tells you the coaching staff has plans for him immediately. Colston Loveland continues to develop into a matchup nightmare, and Kmet remains one of the most reliable tight ends in football. Suddenly, the Bears aren't building an offense that depends on a pure slot receiver. They're building an offense based on versatility, size mismatches, motion, and formation flexibility. That's why the Deebo Samuel conversation feels disconnected from what this roster actually needs. Yes, Deebo is still productive. Yes, Ben Johnson could absolutely find creative ways to use him. But the Bears are not one dynamic gadget player away from becoming contenders. The biggest issue on this football team remains the defensive line and the pass rush, and anyone following this team closely already knows it. Chicago struggled to consistently pressure quarterbacks last season, and even against the run, the defensive front had major problems. If the Bears are going to spend additional money after the draft class signs, it makes far more sense to invest those resources into an edge rusher or defensive line help instead of another offensive weapon. That's where names like Cam Jordan, Jadeveon Clowney, Joey Bosa, Von Miller, or even A.J. Epinesa become far more interesting discussions for this roster. Those are moves that directly address the biggest weakness on the team. Adding another receiver, especially one who could command significant money like Deebo Samuel, feels more like a luxury than a necessity. And there's another important detail here that national analysts sometimes miss when evaluating Ben Johnson's offense. His system is built around interchangeable receiver roles. He doesn't need a traditional slot-only player. He wants receivers who can line up everywhere. Last season already showed that. Luther Burden spent a huge percentage of his snaps in the slot. Rome Odunze also moved inside frequently, despite being viewed as an outside receiver. Even depth players like Jay Walker were used in multiple alignments. Ben Johnson constantly hunts for mismatches, and that means the offense becomes less about rigid positions and more about creating favorable situations. That's a huge difference from simply trying to replicate what Detroit had with Amon-Ra St. Brown. St. Brown is elite at what he does, but his role existed because of his specific skill set. The Bears don't need to force an identical structure onto their offense. Their receiver room is built differently. Their tight ends bring different dimensions. Their personnel creates different possibilities. And honestly, when you step back and look at the entire offense, there are already plenty of weapons here. Odunze is expected to take another major leap. Luther Burden is going to have a significant role immediately. Colston Loveland can function almost like a big receiver at times. Kmet remains dependable. Khalif Raymond still provides veteran depth and speed. The Bears are not lacking offensive options. What they are lacking is consistent disruption up front defensively. That is the issue that could ultimately hold this team back if it isn't addressed before the season begins. Because no matter how explosive your offense becomes, if opposing quarterbacks have clean pockets all game long, you're going to struggle against elite teams when it matters most. That's why the slot receiver narrative feels so strange right now. It sounds more like an outside perspective, trying to fit Chicago into an old template, instead of recognizing what this roster is actually becoming under Ben Johnson. The offense is evolving into something much more flexible and matchup-driven, while the defense still has real unanswered questions in the trenches. And if the Bears are serious about making a playoff push this season, the smartest remaining move may not involve adding another offensive playmaker at all. It may come down to finally finding the pass rush help this defense desperately needs. So, if Chicago makes one more major addition before the season starts, should it be another weapon like Deebo Samuel? Or should the Bears go all in on fixing the defensive line once and for all? All right, Bears fans, now it's your turn. Do you agree that the biggest problem on this roster is still the defensive line? Or do you think the Bears should make one more move at wide receiver before the season starts? Let me know down in the comments, because this debate is only getting louder as we get closer to kickoff. And if you're hyped for what this team could become under the new system, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss any breaking Bears news. We're gonna have updates, rumors, reactions, and analysis all season long. And you already know the best Bears conversations happen right here. Drop a bear down in the comments if you believe this team is finally ready to surprise the league this year, and click the video on your screen right now for more Chicago Bears coverage and the latest updates you won't want to miss.